was.
Lawrence and Ranch
Thank
Road.
you.
Okay. Alrighty, any other questions on any of the roads there? We pretty much get everything clarified and straightened out. Hopefully you can pass this on to the commissioners for the whole county roads throughout the area. It's been since the beginning of 2019. We've been having good discussions. Could have been even last year. Check my minutes.
It was.
Yeah. So, again, I guess we're at a point where we can have someone make a proposal for a, well, I guess turning it over to commissioners, turning in the list of the whole county. So would someone like to make a motion regarding that?
I'll make that motion.
And what is your motion going to be, John?
We turn our discussed road over to the county as we update
To the entire county,
in the entire town.
right?
To the best of our ability.
And our knowledge.
To the best of our case.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alrighty, okay. So moving on, next will be the minutes, and we have 3 months worth. So we will go them in order. First one being the April 4th, 2019 minutes. Were there any corrections or additions or changes noted by anyone? I didn't have any that I saw. Anybody else?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for April 4th.
I would second.
All in favor? Okay, next one is the May 2nd meeting, 2019. Any corrections, changes, or additions? I didn't see any. Did anybody else notice anything?
So moved to accept the minutes of May 2nd.
From the May 2nd meeting? Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
I'll see.
Okay, next is June 6th meeting, and I have just a little bit of correction thing here. See if I'm right or wrong, on page 2, second paragraph.
Okay, one second. Second paragraph.
Ken Bird stated at the time, the Finn Associate Edition subdivision was reviewed, and I have that there should be a comment there. Concerns were raised about the adequate water and sewer. Does that sound right or not? Or am I just getting too technical with my comments?
Where was that comment again, AJ?
It's
The very first
line-
sentence,
First line of paragraph 2 on the second page.
subdivisions was reviewed, comma, concerns were raised. And then further on in that same paragraph, there are a couple more commas that I thought should be put in. Further down the page, it said, about halfway down, he would like to see that portions of the document, comma, capital improvement plan, comma, showing the funding for fixing some of the issues.
Okay,
Then on the next paragraph, with Elena's comments, at the beginning of the last sentence,
excuse me.
she did question why, comma, since town Phillipsburg sewer lagoon was in the county, comma, why the county wasn't involved in discussion about the lagoon.
Anything else?
One more,
Okay, where at?
on page 3, the long paragraph, starting with Patty.
Long paragraph, yep.
And halfway down, it says that Patty Candid, is that her name?
Candidge.
Candid, said although the ability to invoke coordination status is part of the federal law, comma, the federal agencies are reluctant at times to initiate the discussion with the local governments and often do not talk to the county officials.
Okay.
That's all I have. So, we have a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes for June 6th as amended by A.April.
Okay, and a second.
I'll second.
Okay. With that being done, we approved all those minutes. All
I-
right.
I'm gonna abstain because I wasn't.
Okay. Okay. All in favor then?
Or did
Aye.
you vote? Sorry. Did Tom Sanders vote? Or did you abstain?
I abstained because I was at
Okay.
the meeting.
Did you abstain from the other one too? Or
Well, I should have.
do you want to? I can back up the train.
Alrighty. Okay, so we're good. All right, next subject, public comment. So were they able to get passed, or do I have to wait another month?
They passed.
Yes.
Don't bring it back.
Okay, any public comment? Anybody else have anything to discuss regarding Granite County Planning Board? Okay. Any miscellaneous? Elena?
Thank you. Again, I'll say I think you guys are doing a good job. I kind of like, I've been to a number of other meetings, and you do handle the meetings well. Regarding the growth policy and the planning board, I know that originally the planning board was very involved. And AJ, I don't even remember, you were there. You must have been a lot younger then, because I don't remember you being there.
I attended it when we did the lower rock reform.
Don't know much after Elena, but you better.
But what you said about when you were discussing the Phillipsburg growth policy, and you said control, that's exactly what these policies are. They're not growth, they're control. And when you talk about your grants, that opens the door to more control, and usually from the federal government. Because there's always the small print that you're going to have to read. And I don't like that small print.
Right.
If we want to look like Missoula County and City of, you better think about that.
Well, just in the miscellaneous, and we were talking about it here in the quote-unquote business district, if you were to go after that avenue, you're going to have to look at, like they said, having business licenses through the town of Phillipsburg, and then you're going to have to police it, enforce it, what's the fees, what the standards are, what all those things are. So putting that as a business district, I don't think it should really be written to say that, because then someone could come along, well, if you're in a business district, I think you should have a business license. Next year, we're like Missoula.
Unfortunately, or fortunately for us, we don't have to worry about that.
Right,
That's right.
Their language.
And then I think you also have to have a health department with businesses to
Right.
license restaurants
Too
and
much
stuff.
government. There's not enough people and not enough money.
Yeah, I just think there should, be control of that and.
You're talking a town of 1,000 people or less.
Right.
Don't put a name on the top. Start your own.
But we're not even talking about a specific proposal. We're talking about if there were one, maybe we should start with a common language. We should start with some definitions or some boundaries.
Well, and your growth policy is only saying we're gonna have a discussion about it.
That's all it is at this point, that's right.
Right.
I think that needs to be restated constantly,
Yeah.
constantly. And also I might like to add right now, in terms of growth, planning, zoning, all these terms, what have you, for me personally, in my position, if the council wants to move forward on this and start to bring together a plan I'm going to say right up front, you have to show me enforcement mechanisms. You have to show me budgets for enforcement mechanisms. I don't want to get involved in adding more regulation and more ordinances and more law without the ability to enforce that. So I think the beginning of this conversation is to examine what we have currently in terms of regulations and make sure we're applying those as opposed to piling on new ones. Folks think that, I think they think, well, if we do this, it'll just happen. You have to, are you prepared as residents of Phillipsburg to have a guy in a truck with, on the side of the truck, it says code enforcement on it? Are you prepared to do that? I wave to the guy every day in Anaconda when I go over there. He's the code enforcement officer. He's a great guy. You know, he's got a tough job, but you have to have enforcement mechanisms and you have to budget for those enforcement mechanisms or this is a waste of time. I mean, we can talk about it, but, and as we go down this road, I'm going to be adamant about it. You have to have this, you have to demonstrate to me a plan that will work to enforce these things.
Right,
Yeah.
because if, speaking for Drummond, we do, and we don't enforce it because we don't have that. And it's a way of revenue, yes, but making more and more laws and not following through is not a good thing.
People don't take you seriously.
Well,
Yeah.
it's useless. You spend money on lawyer fees and everything else to not enforce something.
Well, and with that also, you have to make sure the regulations are something that are going to be actually fit with your community. Because Anaconda has ridiculous setbacks.
Right.
And if you call up there and say, well, this, you know, I can't meet this, they'll just say, we'll get a variance. I mean, they hand out variances like crazy. So it's like, okay, if you need that many variances, change the rule. It's clearly not.
That's my mandate, enforce, amend, or repeal.
Yeah.
There you go.
But just one thing, going again back with grants, okay? And one thing, you've got to put something in a growth policy, you got to put something there, so this way, if you want a grant about something, it's got to be in there. Now, I don't remember all the details, but I remember with the town of Phillipsburg, and you had all that problem with the sewers and stuff, that there was a grant that was applied for, and one was, the conditions was to put the meters up on them.
Right.
Well, there you go, they had a condition of a grant. And I don't even know what kind of meters they put up, because then it brings up the smart meters, which is all part of sustainable development, and that's the whole thing they're pushing. And every time there's a little grant, there's a little stipulation that one of the things they're going to push, you know, for sustainable development. And I've seen in some of these growth policies, there's even discussion about climate change. I think that's in the hazard mitigation. Climate change? Right.
I'm glad the climate changes. So,
Not the way AOC wants to control it.
Mr. Chair, I had a question on miscellaneous, if I could. In a May meeting, we had talked about, as some of this stuff came up about VRBOs and mapping, one of the things that came up was both county and from the town standpoint about considering how to manage VRBOs. We were going to maybe reach out to Swinley and see if she had any experience. Did she give us anything?
Yep, and that was in your last packet.
It
Sorry,
was,
I didn't
okay.
send it again in this packet.
Okay,
but,
I missed it, I'm sorry.
I can certainly send it down to it was just simply pretty much an email. And
Okay.
essentially what she said was, maybe, I can't remember what town it is, Townsend, something like that, has one that was reasonable. And then she said, the only other one I have an example of is Bozeman. And I went on and looked at Bozeman's and it was crazy. It was like 50 pages long. It was ridiculous.
That's what we have.
can I get in the loop on that with those emails from her?
Sure.
I'd like to keep abreast of
I'll forward that.
Thank you, because this is a reoccurring theme. And again, we get people who make statements like, there's 90 of them within 10 miles of Phillipsburg. Oh, really? There is? Well, you've done your homework. Give me the list. So when people throw these numbers out, there could be 90. I have no idea how many there are, but apparently some people have done a little bit of homework or they're maybe inflating it, I don't know.
Well, again, I think
I
there's
don't-
misinformation being thrown around too, because I think we use the term Airbnb, but Airbnb is a Q-tip while VRBO is a cotton swab. And it's my understanding that one of them actually does collect for taxes
And I
from
saw,
the state, and the other does not.
right, okay, and I saw
But
reference.
those, again, those definitions get, I throw one thing out, she throws another thing out, and we're not talking
It seems to
the
me,
same thing.
if someone was doing what they're supposed to do by law, they would, you could go to the Department of Commerce, right, and find out where they're listed. And compare it to the alleged 90, and maybe there's only 20 that turn up with the Department of Commerce. That sort of thing starts, I think,
It's just
starts
be
there.
interesting to investigate a little more. We're not the first
Yeah.
one to have a problem,
Yeah.
or to have a scenario.
I don't consider it a problem, frankly.
Well, and that is, well, like I had said at the last meeting, when we did the Georgetown Lake zoning, the only thing those people asked for was to retain the right to do VRBOs. That was it. They had no other changes to what had been drafted other than we want to be able to do short-term rentals. And it got written in that they can do short-term rentals.
Just to what you're saying, I don't know that's a problem or not. I don't know what the number is. I don't know where our, where our median level is. But from a planning board, from real estate business, and from the Chamber of Commerce, we're hearing about it quite often. So it'd be interesting just to know a little bit more about the industry,
Yeah, absolutely.
what it's doing here. That's all I have.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? All good? It's just a little past 7 o'clock.
Motion to adjourn.
Exactly.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That one.
Thank you.
Thank you for attending.